Hello, one and all. How are you on this? Hello, one and all. How are you on this wonderful Friday afternoon? Well, Friday for me, it looks fairly nice outside. Probably a bit chilly. I don't know. I have yet to be out. Um, I'm gonna wait. Bob got his package today for me. He's taking a picture to show it. I will show that either when he comes on or maybe at the end if he has yet to come on. So we are in Koenig's Superhero Chapter 3 Batman Guilt and Grace in Gotham City, and we are in the last section. And unfortunately, this last section of it is fairly big, 3 whole pages. I will do my best to get through it as fast as I can. So, company in the Batcave. In every place I've worked, and these days I work in a church, I find people trying so hard to make themselves okay, and in many cases, better than okay. Good, exemplary. These folks will always take on more than one job, serve on more than one committee, will write one more check. Batman would fit right in. In fact, the church would be a good place for Batman to hang out and always find a warm welcome. Who isn't delighted with the hard-working colleague, the good deed doing neighbor, the dedicated self-sacrificing servant to the church? But are the good de- but are the good deeds, determination, best intentions, and sacrifices so selfless? The Apostle Paul wouldn't think so. For years, Paul was a driven man, obsessed with rule keeping, good deed doing, and salvation seeking. He eagerly and diligently persecuted anyone who went against the Jewish law. One day, Paul's obsession with doing right was confronted by Jesus. Grace calls us to serve, and guilt drives us to serve. Drives us to serve. Jesus showed Paul through these two forces may look all the same on the outside. There is a big difference. Inside being called and feeling different and feeling driven. It's the difference between working hard because you're feeling saved, thankful, and so fulfilled with excitement that you just can't sit still or keep quiet and slave away because you feel lost and scared, driven, and desperate. Jesus lovingly offered an escape from the dead end of salvation by works. Paul took it. The rich young man, however, found the offer just too much. Did he think the offer too expensive, requiring him to hand over forever his greatest superpower, wealth? So it reminds me of the Justice League movie just recently when Flash asks Batman, "What's your superpower again?" And Bruce just says, "I'm rich." Or did he fear the offer was one more sham, just too good to be true? In any case, the rich man could not surrender his search for salvation through personal goodness. In spite of his doubts, he clung to his his desperate quest for self justification. Hello to my viewers. Hey, William. I'm just going through the last little bit of the third chapter of Batman Guilt and Grace in Gotham City. And then I will be on to my drawings. Batman is caught in precisely the same quandary. The shadowy crime fighter is a noble but heartbreaking figure betrayed by the apparent random cruelty of life. Batman lacks faith in anything or anyone beyond himself. He operates on a simple philosophy. The world only makes sense, he says, when you force it to. He relies entirely on his own strength, intellect, and determination. In spite of his losses that would have broken many people, Batman fights on. In Batman The Dark Knight Returns, considered by many to be the ultimate Batman story, writer and artist Frank Miller depicts an aging Batman continuing pursuit of salvation at an under at an at an undesignated time in the future. Batman has retired from crime fighting. In the 10 years since he gave up the cape and cowl, Bruce Wayne has grown morose. Morose? Morose, I'm not sure what that means. He broods and numbs himself with alcohol. Since Batman disappeared, Gotham City has become a cesspool of viciousness and mindless violence. In a key scene, Bruce Wayne sits alone at night, staring through a window. He wrestles with the temptation to bring Batman out of retirement. Miller's artwork is simple but evocative. One panel shows a portion of a window and the uh, mulations, mulations forming a stark cross. Next, we see a bat flying outside the window. Posed to the cross. Miller then shadow shows us the shadow of the cross falling across Bruce's troubled face. These images repeat with an increasing intensity until the bat crashes through the window in the cascade of glass shards and broken mullions. In that moment, Bruce Wayne's decision is made, and he once again dons the costume of the Batman. The Dark Knight cannot accept the way of the cross. He returns to the way of the bat and sets out once more to save himself by his own heroic efforts. Initially, he revels in his decision, caught up in the euphoria as he leaps into action. The backdrop of the city, he muses, the rain on my chest is a baptism. I'm born again. But Batman's rebirth and salvation are only temporary illusion. His own sense of unworthiness emerges again within a few pages. While disarming a bomb, Batman thinks, if I had the time or the right, I'd say a prayer. And in an even more telling moment, the supposedly born again Batman stares into the eyes of Two-Face, a villain psychologically scarred by shame and self-hatred. Take a look, says Two-Face, flaunting his own ugliness. Staring intently, Batman replies, I see a reflection. This is this is the sound. It's a, oh. Is this the sound of a man with new life? It sounds more like the voice of a man longing for salvation and still falling short. The sound of a man whose vocabulary is missing the word surrender. The truth is, Batman's sole hope for purpose and redemption lies precisely in surrendering himself to forgiveness. Only when Batman gives up the quest for personal perfection will he be able to welcome the grace that cannot be earned. Although Batman is as good as any human being could be, he will never be good enough. Neither hard work nor good works can free Bruce Wayne from the guilt and despair that torment him. No matter how fiercely he tries, Batman can never save himself. No one can. With human beings, it is impossible. Or is it? If muscle and mind fall short, maybe microchips and steel can save us. Where we can save ourselves, where we can't save ourselves, perhaps technology can do it for us. Science never lets us down. Science always finds a way. Science is our hope for the future. At least this is the creed of the armored Avenger, Iron Man. Peek behind Iron Man's metal mask and see if he's right. Okay, so Monday we'll start Iron Man Salvation by Success. I'm not sure how many days that'll take us. We're done for now. That it's on to the drawing portion of our show, dilemma, whatever. Okay, so this is my character, the Brit. He is a World War I superhero, as you might have been able to tell from the name. He is British. He comes from. He lives somewhere in Britain, probably England. Let's see. Damn. Okay, we need that brush slightly thicker. I'm gonna go up to 3. Yes, I'm gonna zoom in a bit more there. Oh, I forgot to share my screen. Sorry, folks. Luckily, I have yet to do much. Hide.
Are you streaming it?
Yeah, do you need help with something?
No, that's probably your streaming's in what?
Do you need help with something?
Yes, I do. I screw
Okay.
back.
Alright,
I get kind of nervous around that kind.
why do you get nervous? It's not gonna blow up on you.
Well, I think my father to go to help me. You know, well, we didn't get an answer. I don't know, I told him. I want to go on October 26th. That's October 1st. I want to watch this. I even press it through that. Yeah. Well, you probably could do it 26th. No, it was, or at least, the listing was. If you watch the listing. This stuff, okay, right.
I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. Gotta be me. Gotta build up my Christian audience. Hmm. Oh, hey, Bob. No, I'm not dead. I just didn't realize you were here. I got focused on doing what I was doing. Okay, well, since you are here, finally. Let's see. There is your picture. I just whited out your address and mine. Don't want to dox either of us. So there, so everybody can see in full. Bob's stuff that he got from me. Now let's see. Let's create new layer. Yes, I've read it already. Okay, so let's see. It could. I'm not saying for sure. You know, comics is a very fickle market. That's good. Open it, read it, enjoy it. That's what it's meant to do. Yeah, and then if you want to seal it up, yeah, just about a week, basically. Probably went. I'm not sure whether it would have. I put it out on the Friday, so a week. Yeah. Let's see what happens when I. Yeah, this isn't working out like I really planned. So. Yeah, I think everybody likes free stuff, Bob. This isn't going like I planned. Oh well. Yes. How much do I know about this guy? I know he is a World War I superhero. His name is the Brit. I don't know his powers or anything like that. He's probably spyish. Uh, Well, in his time, he's probably late 20s, early 30s, I would guess. Would he be alive now? Probably not. Maybe, I'm not sure. I haven't decided that. I just wanted to do. DC and Marvel mainly have World War II superheroes. I have that, but I wanted to do something different by creating World War One superheroes as well. Why does he exist? Because I wanted a World War One superhero. Because people in war usually are like he would when he operates as the Brit in World War One. He's like late 20s, early 30s. If he you bring him to present day, not through time travel, but in regular means, living throughout the years, he'd be over 100. Yes, the Canadian Shield is and all that, but this is a character. He the Canadians. I don't know yet whether he'd still be alive in our present day. And like I said, I'm just saying at his time of that we know about that he operated. That's when he was about that age. Now, if he's alive today, which I have yet to decide, present day, he would not be that young. Obviously, he'd be over 100. He'd probably be close to 120. Yeah, I do have more superheroes and supervillains. And I know I've got to create more. Actually, I've got a lot more names. I'm still in the middle of doing a lot of looks for a bunch of my. A lot of them. A bunch of my supervillains. And that's probably more due to the fact that I want to make sure they're half decent. I don't want to just. I don't want to go with what everybody might expect. Yep, I am. Oh, masks, there's usually not as much detail. or it's a different type of detail. Yeah, I will, for sure. It is something I am slowly working on, for sure. Sure, for how many named animals do you have? Like they're just animals in my comic universe? Um, Probably have more than this, but I can only think of one at the moment. Yeah, for just pets, I can only think of one at the moment. Not to say I don't have more, it's just. Kids under 12. Two for sure that are. I know two for sure that are in comics at a regular basis. I probably have other kids that are part of somebody's history, but I have, because they don't have a book at this point, I haven't. What's president there? Is that supposed to be president? No, the president would be a villain. Not at this point, anyways. I might do sort of the Lex Luthor thing at some point for a story arc. Let's see. You know what? Let's take out that layer. Okay, so let's see. Yeah. Well, most times, you don't want to have most political figures a supervillain. Yeah, they did Lex Luthor as the president of this United States for a story arc for DC Comics. And, let's see how this is going to go. Uh, but I don't think you could have the president supervillain all the time. It's just my personal. Does does whoever's the leader of whatever country have superpowers? Not to my knowledge. And probably it's going to be who's ever in power at any given time for whatever country, unless I want to do something different for some reason. I don't know. Band. Howdy, Lee, Rizzy Lee. Okay, this is not doing what I want it to. Okay, so let's see, control. And let's. So, how are you, Lee? Okay, so I guess that's. Oh, I wouldn't say always. There may have been. Uh, oh, well, I know there's been people with powers like take Samson from the Bible. He had supernatural strength at times, so there would have been people like him, but they wouldn't have been quite as dominant as they are in my present day. Okay, when did the X-Men, the power phenomenon start? Well, I had some with powers in World War II for different reasons. Maybe they're let's see. Prop Man is just whatever. Squeaker has powers. Super Spider has powers. Power Man doesn't. Fishman does. I'm just trying to think. By X-Men phenomenon, I think you mean people with powers in my universe, but I could be wrong. At the moment, I would have to say for my universe, it started World War II era. Super doesn't have powers either. I mean, Student Wiz. Ah, cool. Yeah, the animated show was very good. I liked it. I watched it. Not yet. For me, not a particular reason. Um, I'd say people not wanting to step up, but that wouldn't be true. There's always people that are wanting to step up. In the comic view universes, except for something in like the Flash on TV, there's never a reason why it starts at a certain point, to my knowledge. It's just something that is. And except for like the Flash TV show, on DC Comics, they don't really give a reason why it starts. I'm not saying the Flash doesn't, but it doesn't say there's why the in the comics why there's an insurgent of powered people. It says yeah, it says why they each person got their powers through those different means, but it doesn't say why suddenly all this people are wanting to be who got this technology are wanting to become superheroes or heroes, however you want to word that. Yeah, they may have a lot of people with powers that are basic technology, but why so many people are starting to use their technology for such a reason, they don't say. They just do. Yeah, that's what they say. That's why people got powers in the part thing. Except for X-Men, people being born with it. For Marvel, they don't really say. But in the comic books, the Flash never was. There was no particle accelerator explosion that gave all these people powers through dark matter. They got their powers in different ways. And the reason they did that in the Flash is because when they created Arrow, they didn't want to have any powered people, and this was suddenly they got the idea to bring the Flash in, and this was a way for them to powers, have powered people. But in the comic books, like I said, there was no particle accelerator explosion, just lightning hit Barry. And he got it. And there was some people, sometimes in the comics, they've tried to say why it was him, and it's been retconned out of existence. And it's never been for sure canon that he was chosen. Oh, you gotta see, remember back in the 1930s, 40s when superheroes like Superman were introduced, they would tell you how somebody got their powers, but not sort of why they were chosen or whatever, or why there was an influx of thing. For like say the Flash, he got hit by a bolt of lightning, doused with chemicals. That's how he got his powers. Nobody cared beyond that back then. And that wasn't even in the 30s. Um, the original Flash, Jay Garrick, he got it through the god Mercury, if I remember correctly. The Roman god Mercury passed down his speed to him. A lot about origins. I don't know what you think about it, but I do care a lot about origins of powers. Yeah, that's true in a lot of ways, for sure. I agree that it also who they are usually before they get the power will actually really determine more of what they do with the power. Or there's got to be a critical event for them to change how they're going to use the powers. Again, take well, not maybe not so much again, but take Spider-Man. When he first got his powers, he just wanted to use it for fame and fortune. But it wasn't until something happened to his uncle that he realized he can't just use it for fame and fortune. Yeah, I love to see heroes overcome. You know what drove Spider-Man, Peter Parker to get go for fame and fortune? It's because he was the kid picked on, teased, all that, so he wanted to use it to rise above, and become somebody people didn't pick on. Yeah, I like origin movies. I like because I like to know how a character usually got their powers or their whatever. In Iron Man's case, he was he's a brilliant scientist, and he was forced to create a suit that would allow him to escape his captors and protect his heart. They have a reason for the power and the fact that he get bit by a spider, but why they don't address the reason why him and not the guy next to him. Yeah, but in the probability thing, in the Spider Verse, as they like to call it, pretty much, I don't think there's been any other case of a spot. Well, you got Miles Morales, but that wasn't at the same time. That was after Spider Gwen again. Nobody else has gotten bit by that spider at that time in the Spider Verse, or at least they don't show it. It's always Peter Parker. Yeah, that spider died in well. Yeah, but what I mean, you say probabilities. Why didn't the spot? Why don't they all the comic first? So it landing on anybody else and biting them instead of Peter. It's always Peter. Why is he chosen to be the Spider-Man? I know why. Because Stan Lee wants it that way. Actually, that's something they would probably more explore in the comics. They might have actually explored that in the comics. Well, they're coming out with in December. Enter the Spider Verse. I'm not sure whether you've heard about that yet, Bob, but um, and you probably have. Um, but what I mean in the comics, they've showed multiple universes, and if there's a guy to get bit by a spider and become Spider-Man in New York City or whatever, it's Peter Parker. Yeah, they're focusing on Miles Morales, who was introduced in the Ultimate Spider-Man comic series. He becomes Spider-Man after Spider-Man died. Peter Parker dies. Yeah, and I guess I'm not sure whether they've ever done that story. I think they did the reverse of Hulk getting bit by this, Bruce Banner getting bit by the spider, and Peter getting the gamma rays. Marvel has a lot of quote unquote what if stories out there. Uh, Although not the best, this is Bullet Girl. She is the daughter of my character called Bullet. Although he doesn't have a comic book. He's introduced to my first year and a half. She's young at the time when he's introduced. She eventually is going to grow up and, as you can see, become a superhero called Bullet Girl. So do you have World War One and World War Two storylines? Not many. Like I've said, I've been focusing on my uh, initial 7 characters. Um, Although my World War Two superheroes are going to have a part in the formation of my team. The Holy Warriors, that's when they're going to get introduced to World War Two superheroes. They're going to get introduced in when I form the Holy Warriors. And at that point, at some point, I'd like to do some storylines with them, but I'm not sure at which point yet. I do have the bios for the World War Two superheroes written, though. What are your 7 characters? All heroes. My let's see. Do. Big 7 characters. Let's see. Uh, and yes, these are heroes there. The Canadian. Let's minimize that. Bring up that. Let's see. ACO. I don't have her in here. Electide, which. Oh, yeah, there. Electide. Flame. Insecto. Thank you. I'll admit that's a trace, the body form, but I had to put in all the extras. Insecto. Let's see, we got Insecto there. Ozona. Snowdrift. And probably easier just to. And the Wiz. And what's your big villain? By big villain, do you mean like Thanos quality? Thanos style big villain? Yes, they are. Uh, my like description of how they became who they were bigger than Thanos. Well, I have a few characters that might be that, but I'm not sure. Thanos took a while to come into the Marvel universe, Dark Side, but I've got characters that I could easily get to that position. Okay. Yes, I need. Well, the first seven, they do have fairly detailed bios. Yes, he is. And the bios that I have don't include everything I've written down for the comics that I've written up. And yes, Lee, they are all my design. I don't have a final boss, as in final boss, because my comics, I'm planning on them being ongoing. So, you know, I want mine to be ongoing like DNC and Marvel, a monthly issue coming out each month. And I want to have even more than them. Like after a year and a half, there's going to be hopefully 8 issues coming out a month. All of them, one from them a month, and then the Holy Warriors having an issue every month. Yeah, like they'll probably die somehow, but after years of being superheroes, or they'll retire or whatever. I'm planning on making legacy characters just like DC has, like Flash and Kid Flash, or Green Arrow and Speedy, or Batman and Robin. Thank you. Uh, there's a villain wind, another villain wind star, another villain Whizlock, Wolfang villain, Wonder Witch, Wildcat. Oh, Yeah, possible, very possible. Yellow Lightning, a hero. Salto. Zodiac. Windstar hero. Ah, there's the one that one of the ones. What's his name? Did Manny? That's the demon of legend. Character called Weedy, Webster, Waves, Wave Runner, Waters, Watchtower, Werebear, Lucifer, or Absorb. Hmm. Um, I'm not sure whether Absorb could take them all out. I think he'd have a hard time against the Wiz. One of my Transformers, I gotta make him better. It's too squarish. War. He's a shuttlecraft. Vulcan. Viro. Video. Victory. Venus. Velocity. Vanquishers. What about Canadian Wonder Woman? I call her. I originally called her Canadian Wonder. I don't know nothing about her. I just gave Wonder Woman a Canadian, more Canadian outfit than American. Um, Manny has renamed her Made in Canada. Okay. See ya, Lee. Have a great time. Um, if you assume Canadian Wonder is Wonder Woman, but instead of going to the States, she comes to Canada, which I'm not sure whether that would be a good assumption or not. But going based on that assumption, I would say it's Wireshire higher. But based on the assumption that Canadian Wonder is actually Wonder Woman, just Canadian, then I would say she would be stronger. Now, if she's not Wonder Woman, just Canadianized, then I have no idea because I know nothing about her. Yeah, it's 1:30 here. Go to sleep. It's only 1:30 p.m. Actually, it's almost 2 p.m. It's 20 minutes to 2, basically. I'm 6 hours behind you, remember? They're super Canadian. Supergirl, more Canadianized. Here's one of my World War II superheroes, Student Wiz. Oh, there's another one, Squeaker. The strongest Canadian. Who's the strongest Canadian superhero? In my realm? The Wizard. You mean the Wiz? My character, the Wiz? There's no ard at the back of it. It's just the Wiz. If that's the one you're referring to. Okay, give me a sec. He is probably 12 or 13 years old. Um, grab out the file here. Okay, so. Okay, here we go. His alter ego is Larry J.A. McCall III. Might be the fourth. I've got some timing issues to work out. No, the Wiz is not a wizard, and Wiz is spelled W-H-I-Z. Uh, he is a student. He is. I think this is older. There, actually, you know what? Let me bring it up. Should have done this to begin with. Tough nine. Okay, so let's put that down. Put that over there. Okay, so we're getting this. Okay, so third, fourth. He is 4'10". He is about 110 pounds. He lives in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Has blonde hair, green eyes. His first appearance is in his comics of The Wiz #1. His known relatives are his mom, his grandfather, and his dad. It's not that Larry never tried in school, it was just that he could never get a handle on school. His parents being rich didn't help any matters either, seeing how they could never get time to help him with his school marks or school work. I meant, heck, they really didn't even know he wasn't that good in school because they were so busy with their lives. One day, while watching TV on a Saturday morning, he came across a kids program telling the gospel of Jesus Christ. Right away, he believed and prayed the sinner's prayer, prayed along with the TV. At that, he sought out what the Christian life was about and tried to live live all he learned about it. Some time went by and Larry grew a lot in God. He had put much of what he had learned from church and reading the Bible into practice, but he still did poorly in school. The kids mocked him and his God because it's gonna go down a bit. Okay, mocked him and his God because of this. But Larry persevered and did not let it get to him, and loved them all the more and treated them all the nicer. Larry's turmoil had not gone unseen by God. Finally, one night in a dream, God came to him and told Larry he could have any one thing he wanted, and and it would be granted. At this, Larry thought he could get wisdom from reading the Word of God and meditating on it. And he thought of the kids that mocked him at and his God and why. Larry then asked for the knowledge of the 31st century if God waited till then to return. Christ. He that this he asked so he could show his peers what God could do and perhaps win them to Jesus. At that very moment, God granted him the request. Not having the knowledge he does, he be what would your probably superpowers. Superpowers or a wife. Okay, now having that knowledge, he does use it and he slowly begins to improve his grades as not to make anyone think he was improving wrongly, but to show them God's work in his life. A couple days later, you could ask, but I don't think it's a job you'd want. Anyways, a couple days later, while watching TV on a Saturday morning, he hears a report of a successful bank robbery that happened earlier that morning. It also announced that the crooks got away with over $20 million. A righteous anger enrages Larry, and this that stuff like this must that stuff like this must stop. Another thought crosses his mind, thinking that he is only one teenager and that he can't do nothing. Then suddenly, like a ton of bricks hitting him, he realizes there is something he can do. At this, he gets his butler to take him out shopping. Well, out he gets all kinds of different things. After arriving home, he starts making all kinds of gadgets and gizmos, and then makes himself a costume as to keep his family safe from any who would might hurt them if they were to know who he was. That night, I said either superpowers or a wife. Oh, what powers, Rick? Oh, sorry. Oh, what powers? Probably Superman-ish. Flight, super strength, all that. Thanos glove. uh, that could be neat too. That's not so much power. That's powers, but via technology of a sort. Actually, it's technology and, well, I would say it's technology. Technology we don't understand, and magic. Technology and magic. I'd like. Yes, the Iron Man suit is cool. Which Iron Man suit? There are many Iron Man suits. Okay, that night, while about the city testing his inventions, a call comes over the police scanner built into his gauntlet saying that a bank robbery fitting the MO of the one from the last night is in progress. Arriving on the scene, he finds the robbers already gone. Quickly examining the site, he finds what he believes a link to the robbers. This allows him to track the robbers to their hideout. Upon arriving there, he confronts them. Oh, okay. He confronts them, takes them down quickly, and radios the police to come and take the crooks away. Thus, the city of Toronto gets a guardian and will become known as the Wiz. The Wiz has no real powers of his own. All his powers come from the mechanical devices which he created with his advanced knowledge of technology. He has created a vast arsenal of advanced tracking, personal analyzing, medical, and capturing devices. One such device is a personal shield that makes him seem invulnerable. Another is a cloaking device that makes him seem to be invisible. Uh, though part through a pair of air jets and anti-grav devices on his suit, he can fly and at great speeds and hover in midair in one spot. He can also teleport to anywhere he wishes through a teleportation device he has created. Again, through a miniature tractor beams in his gauntlet, it appears as though he can levitate objects or has immense strength. He can extend his personal shield around others to create or others or create one to go around somebody else. He also carries a triphaser, which has three functions. The first is to stun people or animals. The second is to teleport. Yeah, he got the knowledge from God, or God gave him the knowledge, depending on how you want to say it. The second is to teleport anybody or anything wherever he wants, whatever the settings on it indicates. And the third is a blaster, which allows him to vaporize anything that needs to be completely eliminated. As for what other gadgets and gizmos he has, only the Lord Almighty knows. I guess it's raining where you are, is what you mean? Rapture, Raptor. Um, if he doesn't have his shield up, yes, he's vulnerable to human weapons. Um, but if his personal shield is up, which as long as he's in costume, for sure it is all the time, then bullets or whatever are just gonna bounce off the personal shield, which is like skin tight, if you will. Maybe not quite skin tight, but it surrounds. It's not like oval; it's body shaped. Yeah, if he didn't have his shield up on, he could die from a bullet. But then again, with his advanced knowledge of medical stuff, he might be able to do something there too. Yeah, he could. He could replicate the Canadian Shield suit. In fact, in a lot of ways, he might even consider the Canadian Shield suit very inferior to his. But he's designed his suit with other things in mind. Yes, it doesn't amplify his strength or anything like the Canadian Shields, although he could create the Canadian Shields suit without even thinking about it. But yeah, that's something that the Wiz will be doing. He will at some point be starting to equip various heroes in the Cross Comics universe, upgrade them or whatever, give them insight onto their powers and ways that they can use their powers better. Things that they might be able to do that they never thought of. Is knowledge the best thing to have in your universe? I'm not sure whether it's the best thing, but it's definitely a good thing. The knowledge he has, he can probably outsmart. Maybe not outsmart. Well, he could possibly outsmart anybody, but the problem is he is only like a 12 or 13-year-old kid. So when he starts out, and to paraphrase a saying, with great knowledge comes great responsibility. And as you probably heard, there's a saying, knowledge is power. Well, and then there's the saying, knowledge, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So he has a very advanced knowledge. So it's not to say he's not within the realm of being corrupted through having knowledge. So who is the best Canadian? What do you mean? Of my characters? So who's the best Canadian character of my characters? Huh. It's hard to say. And what do you mean by best too? Do you mean most powerful? Most what? Uh, there should be a clarifying thing. Take my character Insecto because of it. He's goofy a lot of times, but he's going to end up being the leader of my super team because he has experience in a different way that will make him the best leader of the group. But okay, as for power, the Canadian Shield is technically, with his suit, more physically stronger than the Wiz, although the Wiz can make a suit to make him as powerful, if not more powerful. So, um, trying to think who would be the most powerful character. Yeah, where is it? Yeah, I got one called Canadian, and I got one called, although it's not Canadian in it technically, but it's I'd say slang, but it's not really slang term for Canadian, but a villain called Major Canuck. And I don't know why I called the one just Canadian. Let's see, I should be able to pull. Who gives all the names to the respect? Me? um, but I think you more mean who gives them their names inside the universe itself. A lot of them, like Insecto names himself, Snowdrift names herself. Canadian Shield, he names himself sort of, but he's helped into coming up with a name. Um, um, trying to think of any that would be named otherwise. I'm sure there will be other people naming them, but most people come up with the names themselves. Their hero or villain name, I would say. Oh yeah, we got Canadian Wonder. I don't got Canadian here. Oh well. Do, do, do. Um, who is the best Canadian? Character. Who's the best cross comics character? I think it's going to be a toss up between the Shield or the Wiz. And there is one of the villains I've got with Canadian that's Canadian or got Canadian in its name. That is Major Canuck. But that for who's the best could change due to the fact that some of my characters have yet to be developed as best as they could be. Like I have one that called Major Canada. Again, she could end up being more powerful than Canadian Shield, but I don't know yet. I said final answer. But you got me on the spot. Um, pick one. Just because there's so much more he can do with the knowledge he has, I'm gonna say the Wiz is gonna be more powerful at this point. Would seem to be more powerful, the best. What about the question from John's live? What question is that? About your favorite hero or villain? I don't remember. For my favorite hero, like I said, I've narrowed it down to my top five. I haven't got really put them in order, and the heroes are Superman, Batman, Spider Man, Wolverine, uh, and Green Lantern, Kyle Rayner. As for my favorite villain, I'm not quite sure. There's lots of great villains out there. You said that you needed to pick one. Favorite villain, yeah. I think that's what you're talking about. Or are you talking about hero? Yeah, I should probably narrow down in one through five, which it is. But favorite villain? I think the favorite villain's hard for me because in a lot of ways I resonate with those characters I mentioned for heroes. Uh, cool. Uh, I can resonate with a lot of those heroes that I mentioned, but it's hard. Although the villains are great, and you need great villains to make your heroes great, usually. Um, but it's how do I resonate with the villain, the evil? I guess Do you want to pick a villain because of the comedic value of the villain, which could easily, or the evilness of the villain, the villainy of the villain? But it's trying to find something that resonates. Usually, that's why people pick their heroes easy enough because somehow they resonate with them to them in some degree. I would think. Yeah, you did say Reverse Flash. He's a good one. There's time travel in him, so and there's actually been a few different Reverse Flashes. Pick one. Uh, um, favorite villain. Okay, I'm gonna try and go top five for villain. I'll say Green Goblin, Joker, Kingpin, Lex Luthor, um, and a fifth one. I got pick one. Jeez, I can't even pick one for my heroes. What makes you think I can pick one for my villains? Actually, I think I'll just narrow it down to four. There, I got four, not one, five. Well, if you're making me pick one, and although I'm not going to stick by it, for now I'll pick Green Goblin. My mom's sleeping. Okay. Cause she worked last night and she's got to go into work tonight. It's my final answer for now. At some point, I'll get a more definitive answer. So I guess that's about it. So people, remember to smash that thumbs up button. So remember to hit that thumbs up button. If you've yet to subscribe, please subscribe. And if you are subscribed, hey Chad, I was just about to end. um, if you're about you're gonna if you're already subscribed, please hit that notification bell to know when I'm going live or putting up some sort of content. Yep, but you can check over the party in a couple minutes here. Remember to comment, give, share, check out the rest of my content. We have almost like 200 videos. Uh, Probably do have 200 videos. I'd have to check to be sure. Um, and subscribe to Good Dog Press as well and John Dillard Gaming System. Check out my links in my description. They are to my Facebook, my Twitter, my Indiegogo. Not my Indiegogo. I wish I had an Indiegogo. My Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. What else? Oh, and DeviantArt. So again, thank you very much for tuning in. Bye for now. God bless. Love you all. Have a great, wonderful day.